faster, healthier, better.
Mayor Tom, thank you for being on. I appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you.
We were joking around a little bit before on the podcast. You're kind of like a celebrity for us. You're coming on, So I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time today. How was your day today?
It's been pretty busy. I mean, obviously on a Saturday, I start off the day by going out to the farmer's market, and there's usually some other events going on. So, you visit around town and talk with the residents and see what's going on and make sure everything is basically going fine.
Okay, I appreciate it. So usually what we do is we ask the guest what they like to drink, and the Stella is what we chose, and a little bit of water.
Absolutely.
So let's crack this open, take a sip, and let's have a little chat.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers. Awesome. So a couple of questions I wanted to ask you on is, nobody, I don't think, grows up and is like, I want to be the mayor. So what did you originally want to do?
Well, I originally wanted to be a police officer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I did apply, but I applied later in life, and it just didn't happen. But they always say things happen for a reason, and I ended up falling into this as well through that. And so my conversations with the chief as well, he's like, you know what, you're probably better off because you get to run a community and you get to build a community into a very thriving place. So that's kind of
a police officer.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
that's not bad. So what age did you decide this is what I want to go forward with becoming the mayor?
Well, actually, it was very late. I mean, so I opened up my own business. I became a painter, and I was a painting contractor and ran my own business for quite a while. Got married, moved up to Aurora, and my wife actually became a counselor in 2006 here in Aurora. Okay. She decided never to do it again. After that one term, she didn't want to do it. But we were both very actively involved in the community. And when 2014 came around, I asked if she wanted to go back into it. She said no, and I said, "Well, you know what? I'd like to give this a shot. I think I have something to bring to the community." She said, "Well, if you want to do it, then
what a supportive wife."
Yes,
I like that. So, what did you think you could bring to the community?
Well, I thought I could bring my business experience. Having a little bit of that small business, I think, experience was something that was needed at the public level at the table. I think that's always been missing. Most people get into politics, I guess, for good intentions, but they tend to fall out, and maybe they don't necessarily have that experience of what goes on at the local level from a business perspective and the day-to-day lives of each of the residents. And so I thought I could bring that experience to that table and that experience of getting things done. I know that's my tagline, and I tend to say that's what you need to do, and we do, and we push forward, and we've been very successful as a council this last term in getting things done in our community.
Yeah, you definitely have. So what are a couple of things that have been the most difficult for you to try to get done this year?
Well, there's been lots of things that have been difficult, but I would say, that's similar to a question as a lot of people ask me, what's the hardest thing about the job? I say the hardest thing is always saying no to people, right? I mean, everyone is coming to you and asking, for something, or they're asking to, can we do this? And sometimes we just can't do it as a municipality. And the hardest thing is not being able to help one of the residents. And so that's the hardest part of the job. But I'd say that the hardest thing that we've had to accomplish, I think, was getting past the hurdle of actually approving the town square, which is the biggest investment that the town's ever made. $52.9 million is not an easy thing to say yes to, right? Kind
of big.
Yeah, and so that's one that it's easier to say no to than it is to say yes, because when you're saying yes to something like that, you're making a commitment to move forward and you're taking a risk. You don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. But you know what? It was tough to get past it, but I was proud of council. We were able to get over the hurdle and push forward. And especially during the pandemic, it was a difficult time.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Okay.
But one thing I definitely have to give you kudos for is you're very social with everybody, and you try to answer everybody. Like, I see the Aurora Town page, you're trying to respond to people, your Instagram, your Facebook. Does that ever get exhausting?
No. I gotta be honest with you, I love it. I love it. I love every aspect of it. A lot of people ask me, they say, your team does a wonderful job from a social media aspect, right? And I'm like, well, I don't have a team. It's me.
Okay.
And I've always felt that that's why there's I guess like a feeling between me and the residents that they feel that they're engaged because they're getting me. It's me that's responding to them. They have a direct link to me, and I've always felt that that's the best approach to do, and I love it. I mean, yes, there are a lot of times where you know, the numbers start lighting up, and you know, people are tagging you about stuff, but you know, I do.
How do you cipher through that then?
You try your best to try to get to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say I get to everyone. You miss some. You miss some, and some people will get upset. But I always say the best way is to reach out to me through email, because then I see them, and there's also other eyes that will see that email, and I can make sure that we respond. But I try my best on social media, but there's just so much, it gets flooded, and
oh yeah, I would imagine. So every time even I look on the Aurora Town page, like Mayor Tom, I'm like, I don't know what Mayor Tom is doing today, but I don't know if he has time for all these comments.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it just before we got on about is, you know, the job, and you know, and how much time there is, and do I have time off? And it's a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week job.
But you need to decompress somehow. What do you like to do other than just be the mayor?
Well, you know, I like to watch basketball. I'm a big basketball fan. I played basketball when I was in high school, so that's my main sport. But I'm a sport nut, and so I like to you know, watch all sports. So that's kind of what I'll do on my downtime, or I'll sit in the backyard and, you know, have a drink, smoke a cigar. Everyone, I think, has seen a picture of me smoking a cigar.
Yeah,
so I'll smoke a cigar to try to relax. But at the same time, I think that this job, and I know everyone does it differently, but my perspective is, and I guess everything that I do is, it's 100%. It's go, 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 go. And so I know you need to decompress. I've been told that. But even when I go on vacation, I'm still working.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So what's the process of becoming a mayor? How does that happen?
Well, you need $200 and 25 signatures.
I think I can do that. Okay, $200, 25 signatures.
And you need to be 18 years of age, and you have to be a taxpayer in the municipality that you're signing up for.
Okay.
It's that simple.
You make it seem super simple.
It is that simple.
Yeah.
It is that simple. But at the same time, there's a lot of knowledge that's needed as well, and a lot of experience, I think, as well. Right? It's not something I think that you can just jump into and do it. You know, that's why I started off as a counselor.
Is that the best route? Would you tell for like future people who want to run for mayor is to go for a town council?
Absolutely. I would say the first thing I would say is get involved in the community. Get involved in the community, whether it's volunteering, getting out there, helping create a better atmosphere within the community, and learning more about the community. And then from there, maybe moving into even like a school trustee or counselor. And then once you get in there and you start to learn some of the I'd say some of the legislation and some of the things that are required and that you can do and you can't do. Because I know when I first got elected as a counselor, I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then when I got in there, you have people telling you,
none of those things.
They're like, well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, you have to do this to get to that.
So that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what are the misconceptions of what you can actually accomplish and what you can't? Because I feel like people ask you, like, I want this done. You're a nice guy. Can we get it done? You're like, with that word-waiting smile, you're like, oh, I don't know if we can't do that. Well,
I mean, so I guess the biggest misconception is that I think people tend to watch too much American television, and they see, you know, how mayors are treated as far as on the American side and the powers that they have, and they think that we're the same, and we're not. We're actually we're called what's called creatures of the province.
Okay.
And so basically we kind of take our marching orders from the province, and so the legislation that they set out under the Municipal Act, and I don't want to get too technical for everyone, but I mean, we basically have to adhere to the Municipal Act, period. So whatever the Municipal Act states that we can do, that's what we can do. Ultimately, as a mayor, we're one vote of the council.
Okay.
We don't have any extraordinary powers. We can't do anything above and beyond what the council must do together as a team. That's why I always say that we're a team. Right? Yes. You know, the vision that's kind of set forth from the top, and being the leader, that's what you need to do. But at the same time, you need to bring everyone together, work together to get that vision through, because you can't do it as an American mayor where they have a strong mayor system. I know there's been some talk about that lately with the province looking at possibly creating a strong mayor system for some of the cities, for like Toronto, Ottawa, so some of your bigger cities, but not for everyone. So they're looking at possibly bringing that in, but it's, the misconceptions there that we can do more like we have more powers, and we don't. We're limited by what the municipal act allows, but we can do. I mean, as you can see, we can do many of the things of investing in our community, helping create new events, helping create a different atmosphere, providing more diverse and more inclusivity within our community. Installing the rainbow crosswalk, more arts and culture within the community. Those types of things we work as a council to try to implement and bring into the community, and try to help lift the community up higher in a positive way. So those are the things
I think you do a great job with that. Well, by the way, I appreciate how much you push forward when it comes to trying to hear everybody's voices and trying to make sure everybody gets a little bit of their point of view in certain situations. So you're definitely very vocal with that. I like that. I wanted to ask you, how do you deal with, because you're a very sweet person, but I'm sure there's some people who don't like you. How do you deal with like the hate of some people?
In this business, you're always going to have it. I would look to, I think Obama. I think he had one instance where he said, sometimes you just got to.
Such an Obama thing to do.
You just got to brush it off. You just got to brush it off. You got
thick skin too.
Yeah, and not everyone's going to agree with your positions. What I've always said, and I talk to anyone that I talk to, whether it's another counselor, whether it's a resident, whether it's a business owner, and I say, listen, we might not agree. But we need to be respectful of each other and each other's opinions and positions. Yeah. And and if we can do that, then we can move forward in a positive direction. We don't have to always agree, and I don't want everyone to agree, because I don't think that that's healthy. I think you need to have debate. You need to have discussions.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And sometimes I my personal belief is self-confidence comes from knowing that you don't know everything. I'm
the same thing with you, but the people that I surround myself with are extraordinarily more smart. It's like smarter than I am. And they always question everything I say and think. And I appreciate that, because I started thinking, okay, what am I doing? Am I doing it wrong? Right. And then sometimes you may not agree with them, but you at least have a little bit of insight of what you can do in the future. So absolutely, I think I agree with you on that point for sure.
Is that the only point you agree?
That's the only point I agree with you. Everything else, no. So, I mean, it's a little bit like the elephant in the room, but the pandemic, when everything happened. So when the first lockdown happened, what was your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts. I think
it was very new for it.
Yeah, it was new for everyone. And I mean, I say this a lot. There's no playbook. There was no playbook for anybody. This was all just coming at everyone full steam, and everyone had to react to it. You couldn't be proactive about making decisions, because it just happened, and it came at us, and it came at us quick. And I think ultimately, my thoughts were similar to what most elected officials' thoughts were: is that we're going to listen to the experts. We're going to listen to the scientists, to the doctors, and what they're telling us. And at the time, they were telling us we need to shut everything down, and we need to, make sure to try to keep our community safe. And I looked at it, and I said that, that's the job of the mayor, council, is to ensure that our community remains safe. We declared an emergency, similar to many of the other municipalities. And we said we're gonna listen to the expertise, and we're gonna listen to those scientists. And that's through the first part. I mean, obviously, as things evolved, and we started to learn as we a little bit more, and we started to hear some differing opinions from some of the doctors. Dr. Kurji at York Region, had some very progressive thoughts of how we can, possibly not shut things down and continue to stay open. And and I backed that opinion and that thought from Nixon. To me, it was, well, we have our doctor. He's our expert in York Region, and he thinks we can do this and continue to keep everyone safe, but allow our businesses to stay open. And I thought that was a way that we needed to move forward. Yeah, that's one of the things I truly respect about you, is because over time, hey, how can we stay open? How can we continue things to be open? And did you get much backlash on that? There's some. I would say there's some backlash. Not so much, I think, from the overall general public, but I think there was some backlash within my colleagues. Whether at the regional table, there was some pushback and some hesitancy to move forward in that direction, to request the province keep our businesses open while we try to whether it's reducing the numbers of people that could go into those businesses, stuff like that. What types of modifications can we make and still continue to be open? open. Some of them felt that, no, we shouldn't be pushing that. We need to stay closed. But, for the most part, York Regional Council agreed, and we were asking the province, and we were, constantly pushing to say, our businesses need to stay open. Some of them were hanging on by a thread, and it was very tough. It was very tough to see our local businesses going through that, and some of us felt helpless. Right? I mean, go back to like our powers and what we can do. We couldn't, as mayors, we couldn't override what the province was saying and doing. We had to follow that regardless of how we felt. And, some of us, while we wanted to stay open, our businesses were closed, and it was very, very tough to see them closed.
Yeah, but just because there's a lot of family-owned places in Aurora, and they've taken time to really flourish in Aurora, and for them to be shut down or some try to hang on by a thread is super, super sad. But you advocated not mostly, but you advocated hard for gyms to be open.
I did. I
appreciate that.
I did. I felt that it's almost as most of them is that you could do it. You could stay open and still remain safe.
Yes.
Right. To me, it was all about minimizing the risk, and we could minimize the risk and still allow the businesses to stay open. And so, that might mean that you're not going to be able to be at capacity. You're going to have to be at reduced numbers. You're going to have to do certain things. Maybe you're going to have to wear the mask while you're working out. And so, we need to look at those things. But to me, the most important thing was let's keep our businesses open. Let's keep those gyms open. And ultimately too, gyms are a place where people go to get healthy. Right?
Well, not just the body, but the mind also.
As well. Absolutely. I agree. There's nothing better for me when I get up first thing in the morning. I go work out first thing in the morning. And so I'm done by, I'd say about 6:30. And you feel energized for the rest of the day. Yeah. You feel like, I've already accomplished a goal and I've done it. And now I got the rest of the day.
And it's that personal time to you, right? That you've made a commitment to yourself, and you go out through the day. And
so to go back to what you said is, when do I decompress? That's when you decompress. When I'm working out.
All right. What do you do for a workout?
A lot of chest.
Oh my God. That was a lot of chest.
A lot of chest.
Okay.
Chest. Well, I got to make the chest bigger so you don't see the gut.
Oh my gosh, guys. Yeah, well, Ryan doesn't have any problem with that right now. Okay, so a little bit of chest workout. Okay.
Yeah.
We have to work out together sometime.
Yeah, chest, arms.
I don't hear no legs.
Yeah, I'm the guy that they put the sign up that says, "Hey, don't forget to skip leg day." Right? That's me. Gosh, yeah. I'm the guy skipping leg day.
That's fair.
You ever when you're working out trying to do something, someone just comes up and just wants to chat your ear off, and you're I'm in the middle of something?
Sometimes, but I find most people are very respectful, and I don't mind that. You are kind of in a zone, and when you're working out, you want to just do your workout and you want to leave, right? But at the same time, you have an understanding that someone's coming up to you. They want to chat with you, and they want to have a conversation with you.
I want to go home. It's I was speaking with the mayor today.
Yeah.
It's okay, man, I get it.
And it's a nice feeling to have. So when they do come up and talk to you, right? So, but I would say so I work, the place where I work out, I'd say most people are respectful. They know it's me.
Yeah.
Where do you work out?
Aurora Athletic Club.
Oh, perfect.
Right on Young Street.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Shout out to Aurora.
Yeah, shout out to Aurora.
We'll get you guys on the podcast.
There we go. Yeah, no, I go work out there. And so, I'd say most people know it's me, but they're very respectful. Sometimes we have some conversations.
They start shooting their political piece at you, and you're I'm out to dinner. Or,
you're like, hey, man, I'm just doing chess right now. My last set.
There's a few. But most people will laugh because they'll get into this heated debate about on the political side, and some people have it. And I'll have my earbuds on, and I can hear what they're saying, and we're talking. And then a few of them will be like, hey, notice Tom is very, very quiet right now. He's not getting involved in this conversation. So but it's fun.
Have you had a negative encounter like that before?
No.
No?
I would have to say, so my time as the mayor, so it's been almost 4 years now. I would have to say, most people, most people are very, very supportive, or they just want to have a conversation about an issue that's maybe happening and is troubling, or there's a concern and they need some help. And, they come to me to see if we can resolve it for them. Yeah. Sometimes there are those ones that come and they're angry
or aggressive.
They're aggressive,
frustrated.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Once the conversation starts, I'd say 30 seconds in, and the mood changes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it has to do with a bit of the training, because when training through try to become a police officer, you train on how you de-escalate situations, right? And so maybe that kind of rubbed off, and I'm able to utilize that experience to be able to, de-escalate the situation and calm someone down when we're having a conversation. And ultimately it gets back to, if someone is a positive person, and if they're having trouble, you have to understand that, yes, they're going to be anxious, they're going to be angry. And so you need to kind of help them bring it back down, relax, and say, listen, I'm here to help you. Let's have a conversation. Mm-hmm. So I'd say ultimately, no, I haven't had people that just come up and screaming and yelling, no.
That's nice.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a great town. So
yeah, that we really do.
Yeah.
Really
great community. Everyone's together. It's.
It's funny because my fiance is from Alliston and I'm from here. She's like, would you ever want to move out of here? I'm like, nope, not happening. I love this place.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So out of the 4 years of you being a mayor, what have you learned for yourself, like as a person and as the job of being the mayor?
Well, I'd say that I've learned personally that there's lots of room to grow, and continue to as a leader continue to build my skill set to be able to help not only the community but council as well. Continue to work together and continue to get those things done that we need to get done in our community, right? So, and I've learned that it's very, very, very difficult with 3 levels of government to, especially when you have the party element on the provincial and the federal side, to sometimes work together, because you see the party politics sometimes gets intertwined and everything. And I've always said, you got to take the politics out of it, right? And that's why I love this level of government. That's why I love the municipal level, because we're directly impacting the residents, but also the party politics is out of it. And you take the politics out of it and you start to make practical decisions on what's the best thing for the community. It doesn't matter who's bringing forward the idea. It doesn't matter who, like if you don't agree with this, but it's a good idea and it's going to help the community, you do it. You put it forward, right? And that's what I really like about this level. You don't see that at the other levels. It's automatically, conservative put this idea forward. Well, no, we don't want this. We're going to vote against it as liberals, right? Or the liberal puts this, the conservatives are going to vote against it. And to me, that's what kind of hinders our political process, right? And I think we could be a stronger country, province, if everyone started making the decisions that are what best for the people and not for their party.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Sure. Have you dealt with a lot of slander politics? That's a big thing now. Everyone's you get into that just about slandering your opponent and stuff. Maybe on the bigger scale, in the States, and with Trudeau and what was it, Aaron O'Toole or something. They were just kind of.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of to go back to what I was saying is that's why that party politics thing. Yeah, it gets into that
during election time.
Yeah,
something like that.
But that's more of I find that's more of an American style politics, right? And I've always stayed away from either putting anyone down or trying to slander anyone or you say talk about the other person. To me, it's about an election should be not what the other person's not doing or what you think is bad about them. Tell the people what you're going to do for them. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them how am I going to make the community better. So anytime I go out and I talk to people, I talk to them about what I'm doing and what our council's doing. I'm not going to talk. We got an election coming up in October, and for me, it's I'll let my record speak for itself, and I'll continue to talk about the things that we need to do to continue to move our community in a positive direction. I'm regardless of who's running against me,
It's me, Mr. Mayor.
$200 and 25 signatures.
I think I can swing it.
All right.
Ryan, you got $200?
For the bank, I'll spot you.
Jeez. But it's good that you have that kind of approach towards it. It's just focus. You seem very focused on the goals and focus on what you want to do with Aurora, and you just stay on that lane. So that's good.
Absolutely. It's, you know what, it takes a lot. It does take a lot of focus, but it takes a lot of determination to keep pushing through, because you can lose focus, and you can also kind of get, I guess, depressed sometimes of how slow things move.
Do you feel like that sometimes?
No, I mean, at the beginning, as I said, right, I wanted to get everything, like I'm going to do this. And then once you start to learn the process, you learn how you can utilize the process to actually move things faster. I mean, sometimes we hear, the provincial government talk about getting rid of red tape, right? There is a lot of red tape, but you can move through the process and eliminate that red tape if you have the process work for you.
Okay. So what does your daily schedule look like? Ooh. So you wake up in the morning, you do chest and some arms.
I do chest and arms.
Come home, you have some breakfast.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I don't have breakfast.
No?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll skip breakfast.
Let's just skip breakfast.
I know that's bad. I shouldn't be saying it, but
it's okay.
Sometimes I'll skip breakfast. Sometimes I'll just go straight to the office. It all depends on when that first meeting is, right? There's usually a first meeting. So it's either right away, first thing in the morning. And so I need to go straight to the office, or I might have about an hour where I can go home, maybe have a little bit of breakfast, and then head over to the office.
Okay.
And now with the way things are, we can do some things virtually. Even though I like to do things more in person, doing things virtually has allowed us to be able to, meet. And especially when I'm meeting like other mayors or other elected officials, whether it's on the provincial side, it becomes much easier to be able to do those meetings virtually instead of, either going down to Queen's Park or, and having that travel time. Now we can just get on a call quickly, have a conversation for half an hour, and move on to our next meeting. And you can cut out that travel time. So I'd say that from that side of it, it's actually saved, learning how to have the virtual meetings and moving into that direction has actually saved us a lot of time as far as from that travel perspective. But a regular day, it's full with meetings nonstop, either with residents, with other mayors, other elected officials, staff, talking about reports, talking about things that are happening. We have to make some of those internal decisions on how we move forward with certain things. We have agenda reviews once a week where we look at the agendas and the reports that are going to be coming to council, and we go through them and see, are there any hiccups within those reports, and how do we make sure that everything is on there that needs to be on there, so council can have the full information, so they can make a decision with all the information. So those are some of the things that we do.
Yeah, you make a lot of. You're very, very, very in touch with social media.
Well, I was gonna say, and then there's the social media.
I see you. Sometimes I drive by it and you have like a camera and you're filming a video that I see on like Facebook. I'm like, oh, I passed that. I saw you doing that. Yeah. And then you wish everybody happy birthday.
I do.
You're very, very good with that. I appreciate that too. Yeah. So when do you like shut off? When it's like, hey, when you come home and your wife is like, hey, you got to put the phone down, give me some attention.
Well, I'll say the one thing she complains about, if she was here, she'd tell you that I never put the phone down.
Okay.
I never put the phone down. This is probably the most that I haven't touched my phone right now. It's sitting there. I haven't touched it. I'm itching to grab it to see if there's anything there. But I'd say when I go to sleep, that's when I shut it off.
When do you go to sleep?
I'd say sometimes.
Maybe I should say so people don't be like, I can message him at 1 a.m.
No, I'd say anywhere. It depends. Depends on what day of the week.
When do you try to shut off?
I try to shut it off. I'd say probably usually around 11 o'clock. Okay. I try to,
be like, this is my time. Right now.
I'm gonna kind of relax. I'll put it on the charger and I'll put it to the side and.
Yeah.
But if I'm still up and I'm not really falling asleep, I'll pull it back and I'll look at it again.
Okay, fair enough. How does your wife deal with you being busy so much and you trying to deal with everybody on the phone, and like you must have a very strong, very great wife then?
Yes, she is. She's fabulous. Yeah. She is. What I'll say is she understood the job and the time commitment. As I said, she was a counselor back in 2006. So she knew what was involved. And
she knew the gig.
Yeah. And so when I became a counselor, we knew how much time was going to be involved. And I can say as a counselor, I probably did more than what you would normally do as a counselor. But I was also afforded that opportunity because I had my own business. And so I was able to put a little bit more time into it because it is a part-time position as a counselor. And so some of the other counselors, they have full-time jobs. And so they can't necessarily give that much time.
You don't get paid as a counselor, or do you?
No, you get paid as a counselor.
You get paid? Okay.
You get paid. I think it's roughly around 30.
I was going to ask. I don't know.
Yeah, it's about 37,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how you become part of the council?
Same thing, running the election.
$200.
No, that's actually $100. So it's $100 less. So I want like, if you want, that's not same amount of signatures though.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. So what I wanted to ask you too is, so during so many shifts and changes in the pandemic, right? When it comes to like the color system that we had and the information that was given out, what do you think that they did right? And what do you wish they did a little bit more? We're in a little hot seat right now.
That is because it's, you know what, it is a tough one because we, you know, when we look back and we see how we went through that, I mean, some will say we should have dealt with it right from the beginning as, you know, as we're one collective, as the entire province, which they ended up doing. All right. But there was a period of time where, you know, because some were really pushing that, well, we should each be able to do our own thing in different areas, depending on how bad the scenario is in our area. So like, you know, Peel to York. And there was that period, I think everyone remembers, where they were saying, you know, if you're in Peel, don't travel to York region.
Yes,
right? Because they're open. Just because we're shut, don't go over there.
It was scary.
Yeah. And I think it was a problem. I think doing it that way, where it was almost like piecemeal and it was just allowing everyone to just do their own thing. It created, I think, more problems and a little bit more division within
at that time, I agree with you. At that time, it felt a little bit like kind of like the West. It's like, don't go over there because, you know, it's too many infections over there, and then over here we're okay. And I agree with you. Too much division between everybody.
Yeah, I mean, but we understood too that, you know, when you looked at like, you know, certain places, especially you know, northern part of Ontario, and you know, you looked at I'll throw out like Wawa, Ontario, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably had no cases, and yet their businesses were shut because it was a across the province. This is what we're doing, and so you did feel for certain communities like, well, wait a sec, they don't have any cases, so you know, it was the better approach to kind of, you know, do the different you know, health you know, sections, say like, you know, York region, Peel, you know, Toronto, and separate them and let them do their own thing depending on what their case counts were and all that. And but I mean, ultimately it did create too much of a division, and so I think that the better approach was to do it just as one, you know, one community, one province, and just right across the board. And there's plus and minuses to both scenarios.
Yeah, you're right. There's no really one answer or right answer.
Yeah,
but
I mean, and as I said, there's no playbook to it, right? And so, you know, you could fault I think you can fault every politician for the decisions that they made, and you could say, well, that was a bad decision, or that was a good decision. I was on a couple of programs. I think CP24 called me on a couple of times to talk about it when we were talking about the gyms being, you know, trying to keep them open, and they tried to ask me, you know, what I thought about the Premier's decision to do things. And I said, well, I don't envy him. He's in a tough spot because no matter what he does, someone's going to hate the decision that he made.
Well, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right?
And ultimately, I mean, and I know the Premier, and I've spoken to him many times. I mean, all of us, I think we were all trying to do what we felt was the best for our communities and to keep everyone as safe as possible. And I think you can't fault anyone for trying to do that, especially when there's no playbook to follow.
Yeah, it definitely, you couldn't harp on you guys because it was very, very new for everybody. We were all experiencing it at the same time. And there was so much information and misinformation and people trying to understand what's good. And no, there was a bit of like fear in people too. It's like, oh, is this comfortable to be around here or not? And so it was a scary time.
Yeah, and I think it caused a lot of division amongst the community itself, right? Where some people were very, you know, we saw it. Some people were very against, you know, restrictions. Some people were very for restrictions, and so there was that divide as well. And I think a lot of our job was to keep everyone together. And I'll say I think that our community did a tremendous job. I think we actually came together as a community. And
you guys fought very hard for us. I remember that. I remember every time there was an announcement, I was like, okay, well, what's Mayor Tom going to say? Well, what's going to happen here? So I appreciate that.
You're welcome back. We tried we tried our best to make sure that we were doing what was in the best interest of our community. And so we kept pushing for certain things.
So how long do you want to do this for?
How long do I want to do it for? I'll always maintain I'm not a career politician.
No,
it's not. I got involved to help the community. Like I said, I felt I was able to bring something and help push things forward and you know, and get those things done for the community. And I think that once all those things are done, or the people decide that they don't want me anymore, that I'll walk away. And I think that for me, what I would consider successful is that the day that I walk away, that our community is in a better place than it was when I started. And to me, that means that not only was I successful, but the community was successful and growing in a positive way.
Okay.
But not
anytime soon, hopefully.
Not anytime soon. Yeah, not anytime soon. But I'd say there is an end date. There is an end date.
Okay.
I'm not going to be a Hazel McCallia.
Oh my gosh. Okay. How long? So sorry, I don't know. How long can you just keep?
You can keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep going as long as the people keep electing you.
Well, as long as people keep electing them, you're fine. Okay, I like that. So one thing that I want to talk to you a little bit about too is I read that you want to bring affordable housing in Aurora. Being a person in Aurora and renting in Aurora, I would like to understand what you want to do and how you want to get into that.
So it's very difficult. It's a challenging thing because, and that's why everyone's having the issues that they're having as far as from all levels of government. You hear the federal government talk about affordable housing. You hear the province talk about we need to create affordable housing. And, they'll still say that, well, we just need to build more. And to me, it's not a simple just create more supply and it's going to create affordability because ultimately the land is valued at what it's valued at. And you can we could open up and you could flood. I use this sometimes. You could flood the town of Aurora and we could allow 20-story buildings, which we don't. We've never allowed 20-story buildings in Aurora. But we could allow, if we allowed all that 10 years from now, if the whole streets were covered with 20-story buildings, you still wouldn't have affordable units. They would still be at a certain price point. And so that's what's tough about it, is how do we create that affordability? And then when we talk about affordability, are we truly talking about affordability or are we talking about subsidized housing? Because I think sometimes people confuse the two of them. Affordability, as per York region, it's actually considered at $550,000.
Okay.
That's considered affordable. And so how do we provide more of those units? Well, I think what you do is we need to work with the development community through our official plan, start to look at areas within our town that we can allow for the duplexes, the triplexes, more multiple units of residential. That therefore there's those opportunities where you have a little bit of a lower threshold when it comes to the rent, right? So if someone's renting it, it's not $2,500 for like a 2-bedroom, right? It's
oh gosh, I hope not.
Yeah, like you make it fair. You try to make it to where it's gonna become an affordable unit to rent, and also units that can buy. But it's about us creating an environment where that can be built, and which we do through our official plan. Problem is though, is the development community, that's not what they're building, because ultimately that's not profitable. And that's the tough part, right? They're always going to build what's profitable, but we can do our part by pushing, this is the stuff that has to be built in certain areas, like along Yonge Street in our transit corridor. Those are the areas that we need to see some mid-rise, that missing middle that everybody talks about, right? Those are the areas that we've identified within our community that we want to see that type of housing, more rental units, more duplexes, more triplexes, more of those mid-rises along the GO station as well. We want to see some transformation from some of those, the old, industrial type of units that are running along there, more into some more residential. So that way there's more opportunities for people to move in, but we need to work with the development community, and we need the development community to understand that they need to provide affordable units, right? And they need to also provide more units that are available for families, right? So a lot of times what you'll see is that they create affordable units, but they're 1-bedroom or bachelor apartments.
Yeah, it's
right. What you want to see is we want to see a lot more 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartments that are affordable, so families can actually afford them as well and move in, right? Because we need to be able to provide, a diverse range of housing stock for everyone, from that single person that's just getting out of university and wants to stay within the community, to the senior that wants to downsize and stay in Aurora because they've lived there their whole lives as well, and to that family that is wanting to move into Aurora. So we need to be able to provide those opportunities. We're trying, but we also need the province. It's going to take all 3 levels of government to work. That's why I said it's tough.
It's tough. Obviously, it's not like this.
No. Yeah. but it's a big focus of mine. It's a big focus of council. So we're going to continue to push. We're going to continue to work with the province to see what we can do to provide more affordable housing within our community.
Okay, there you go, guys.
It's a long-winded answer.
In a short way, that's what he's trying to do there. So yeah, you're very driven. You're very motivated. I like that. So who do you like look up to? Or do anybody you look up to? Anybody that motivates you, drives you? Other than the people of Aurora?
You know what? There's, obviously I look up to my mom. my mom has always been a big part of my life and drives me to do what I do. And I always think about what will my mom say? Like when I do something, what will my mom say to me? Right? Greek family, your mom, growing up, your mom will give you a little slap in the back of the head, right? And so, how it is, right? So
maybe 2 times.
So, is mom going to give me a slap in the back of my head for this? Or is she going to say, you're doing the right thing, right? And so, I do look up to her. But I from a political side, and especially from our town, former Mayor Tim Jones was I think he was a great mayor. We're still we're good friends right now, and he's someone that I lean on for advice. He's someone that I look up to, and I think that that the people of Aurora looked up to, and I try to be the type of mayor that he was, and hopefully I am, and hopefully the people think I am.
I think you're a pretty great mayor.
Well, thank you.
So 2023, what do you have planned? What do you have planned for Aurora that you can tell us that you're trying to push forward?
Ooh.
Inside scoop here.
Inside scoop.
That you can kind of
that I can tell. Well, ultimately, I can give you a few things, and I will throw them in. But ultimately, it's about that downtown, and it's about revitalizing that area. We've seen it's been a struggle to get that area up and running. A lot of businesses moving out. People don't go down there, and that was the whole big part of us investing in the community and doing the town square. We thought that would basically become a start and would help kickstart that area, help now private businesses to start to look at coming into the area because they see that we're investing in our community. I said from day one, if we're not willing to invest in our community, then why would someone invest their hard-earned money into a community that they're not willing to invest their money into? So I thought that was the first step we need to do. So we're going to continue to do that, see that evolve. From there, you'll see more and more shutdowns of Young.
Oh, really?
I know we do it right now. We do it once a year.
Come on, no.
Well, we do it once a year where we have that street party. And what you'll probably see is more and more of that, where we shut it down, and you'll see vendors down the middle. Ultimately, we want to move towards where the Christmas market. Once the square opens, you would see it move from the town park. So we moved it. It was originally at the town hall in the parking lot. And then we moved it to town park because we knew that eventually we want to move it to town square.
Okay.
And so when town square opens, we'll probably shut down Young for the Christmas market, have vendors down the middle. Our businesses would be able to interact with everyone as well and create almost that distillery district type of atmosphere.
Oh, really?
Christmas market, yeah. And Young would be shut down just from Wellington to Church Street. So basically to where the library is.
Oh. That's for 2023?
Yeah, those are some of
That's some of the ideas there?
I can tell you, but 2023, Christmas market will be happening like that.
Oh, wow. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing more and more. It's about bringing more arts and culture. I think some of the residents will start to see some of the art projects that we're implementing within the downtown. We've taken the retaining walls, and we did our first one where we have a Aurora artist, Vicky Carruthers, and we put her artwork up on the retaining wall, and so we're going to do more of that.
Okay,
that was actually an idea from former councillor Jeff Tom.
Oh.
And he brought that idea up, and unfortunately he decided not to run again, but he said to me, you have to do this. And so we pushed forward with it this term. And so we're seeing the first one go up. It went up. We're going to have a diversity mural that's going up probably in the next month or so. So you're going to see more and more of that that mural style thing within the downtown area as well. We all know everyone wants to take pictures when they go somewhere, right? So everything's Instagram now, and taking
has to be like very like aesthetic.
Everyone has to, you know.
Yeah, you're the best at that actually.
Well, it's because I got a long arm.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, that's great. I feel like it's a little bit of a dumb question, but where can people reach out to you?
Well, obviously Facebook, Twitter. I always say the best is email. So either at tmrakas@aurora.ca or at tom@mrakas.ca.
Okay.
And obviously my website, mrakas.ca, if they want to, I put out a newsletter, they can subscribe on there, and they can just go on there and they just punch in their email address and opt in, and they'll be able to reach me at any time. And if they want my phone number, 416-543-1624.
It's funny when you gave me your cell phone number, I'm like, are you sure you're okay with it? You're like, everybody has my cell phone number.
Everyone has my number.
Like, okay, man.
And I always say, the one thing I say is that if I don't respond to you right away, I'm in a meeting, I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that, that's
fair. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Okay. I like you. Okay.
I appreciate it. No, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. This is a big deal. This is a big deal for us.
This is good.
I hope you come back.
Absolutely. So I'll make a promise. How about everything goes well with the election, I'll come back and we'll talk about what we are doing in 2023, because there's a lot of things that we are doing that I can't say right now, but we can talk about it.
Can you tell me off air?
No.
I tried, guys.
He tried.
Okay, well, I will hold you to that promise.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm going to vote for you so that you can come back on the podcast.
All right. There we go. We got one vote.
All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Bye.